So if you've started on naltrexone for alcohol use disorder and you don't feel like the medication is working yet, there's honestly a million and one reasons why that could be. First of all, none of this is medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but I am a coach who's worked with hundreds of people who are on this medication, and I also have my own personal experience overcoming alcohol addiction with naltrexone. Number one, it really depends how you're taking the medication with regards to how effective it's going to be. I personally did the Sinclair Method protocol, so I was taking naltrexone 1 hour before drinking, and it worked really well for me. The results were not instant. They were more gradual over a several month period. But I was just talking to somebody yesterday whose doctor had them taking the medication every day in the morning, and they saw some results, but it took them a really long time to reach the goals they had with their alcohol reduction. So how you're taking the medication, how your doctor has you prescribed on it, really makes a huge difference. That's number one. Number two is it's important to remember that this is a long-term treatment protocol. Sometimes people get started on this treatment and they'll email me 2 weeks in and say, I'm still drinking too much. Why isn't the medication working? And this is really a treatment that needs time to work. I often say time is your ally with this method. For most of us, we see gradual, steady changes month after month after month. It's kind of like a weight loss journey where the best and most sustainable results are done gradually over time, where you're losing a pound a week. It's similar for most of us who are on naltrexone to reduce our drinking. We're not going to see an overnight change. Really, what we're going to start to see is we're thinking about alcohol a little bit less. We're starting to drink less because we have more control when we drink. And maybe our alcohol-free days are becoming easier. But it doesn't all happen at once. It's more something you notice over a 6, 9, 12-month period. It took me about 9 months to reach my personal alcohol reduction goals, which was really just getting to a place where I had total control over my drinking. And at that point, I was drinking just a couple times a month, a couple drinks a month. But it took me 9 months to get there. Also, finally, the third thing I will say, which is something we are always hammering home in our program at Thrive, is that naltrexone is 50% of it. Naltrexone is an incredibly powerful tool, but it's not everything. We often tell our members that they need to meet the medication halfway and gradually work to change their habits around drinking, find new coping skills, and really create a life that revolves less around alcohol. For many of us, we've been drinking heavily for years or even decades, and so it's a very ingrained habit. And so something I often hear from people is they'll say, I noticed that naltrexone makes me want to drink less. Like I don't feel like drinking as much, but I'm drinking anyway. Why is that? And that really speaks to the habitual drinking that so many of us do, where we kind of just drink without even really thinking about it, sort of like how we eat when we're not hungry. And so that's why it's really important to incorporate in like mindfulness techniques when it comes to your drinking, planning, goal setting, consciously working to change habits, consciously working to create different coping skills. And what's great about naltrexone and the Sinclair Method is that all of this can be done gradually over time. So it's not something you have to figure out on day one, but it is something you have to do. You know, you can't just take the medication and expect it to do all of the work. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but it is a common challenge that a lot of people have where they're just relying only on the medication and they're not doing anything else to change their habits or create different coping skills. So I hope this is helpful. Just to summarize, number one, it's really important that the medication is taken correctly, of course, according to your doctor's instructions. Number two, having the mindset that this is a long-term treatment protocol. I don't know how long you've been taking naltrexone, but it really does need time to work for most of us. We tell our members to give it a year to see full results. And number three, it's really important to meet the medication halfway and work to gradually set goals that will help you change your habits, where you can drink more mindfully and find other ways to cope with the stress of life. If you'd like more support with this process, we'd love to have you inside of Thrive's program. You can learn more about it by tapping the link in our profile or visiting thrivealcoholrecovery.com. Bye for now.